Hey everyone, welcome to Total MTG. Today we're going to be going over 5 top meta decks that have been updated with Kaldheim cards. So these are going to be very interesting, hopefully for you that are already maybe playing these decks or thinking of playing these decks, because you might have a lot of the cards but might be worried about if you're going to have to use all your new wildcards to put in some new Kaldheim cards. So this will give you the choice and have a look at some of these top decks and then see which cards you may need to add. So let's have a look at these 5 meta decks and let's basically see what's been added in and potentially made them more powerful. So the first deck we're going to look at is the old favourite, the one that everyone loves to grind down the early ladder with, and at the top ladder as well, because it's a definite top meta deck. It's mono Red Aggro, everyone's favourite deck to play against, I'm sure. This has taken in a few additions and some very nice additions from the new set as well. You can see one is slightly ghosted out because I don't have them in my collection. Noticeable change here, swap to all snow-covered mountains. Now, obviously not every deck might do this, but you know, this is the majority of the decks, so swap to snow-covered mountains. And they're adding in an extra creature in Faceless Haven, which I think is really good. This card is nice. Reminds me a bit of Crawling Barrens, but Crawling Barrens can obviously get really out of hand and massive. This will just stay a 4/3 creature with Vigilance, but that's nice. That is one head of a beater, paying 3 snowlands. So you've got your 20 snowlands here, you know, easy to do. Adding in snow as well means that mono red can add Frostbite. 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker if you control 3 or more snows, which potentially you will. It deals 3 damage instead, and for 1 mana, that is, you know, it's really strong. Now, it doesn't hit player. It's not Lightning Bolt. It's not going to be as good as that. We're not going to get Lightning Bolt. It'd be lovely to see if we did. So they're giving this variation with the snow effect in there. And I think, you know, it's a good addition. 4 of in there. Some people might like to play Shock instead, but Frostbite is definitely seeing a little bit because of the benefit you might get for it. But obviously Shock does player. This can potentially do an extra bit of damage. So let me know, you know, which one you think you would go with out the 2. Added in at the top end, 2 Goldspan Dragon. Haste, flying, really good. I remember Storm Breath Dragon back in the day used to see a little bit of play in the Boros sign of aggro type, but Goldspan Dragon is good. From what I've played with it, it seems really decent. When it attacks or becomes a target of a spell, create a treasure token. Treasures you control have sacrificed this artifact, add 2 mana of any one colour. Now, obviously this is on the attack phase. You're going to get that, you know, straight away, which does help potentially with Embercleave. Seems a decent thing to add in there when you might have to cast this for slightly bigger mana. But just being a 4/4 flying with haste is good for 5 mana. And it helps with a little bit of flying. Now, obviously, they do have Robber the Rich that has reach, and I always forget it does. And I'm sure a lot of people, you know, attack into Robber the Rich, forgetting that you can just block as well. If not, you're more than likely just probably better player than me anyway. But yeah, Goldspan Dragon is a good addition. I think the Frostbites is nice for the early removal. The rest of Mono Red just works really, really well. Torbrand in there. Maybe people might try the Red God as well. I'm not too sure. But swapping the lands as well does seem like a good move to be able to bring Frostbite in. So the next deck we look at is Meta Rakdos. Rakdos gets a couple of nice additions, including, of course, the Goldspan Dragon. People are just going to want to play this because it is just total aggro. It's great. It helps with flying, and it's a dragon. But the treasure token effect is pretty cool, as we just spoke about. They're also adding in the new land, the new pathway, which taps for the Rakdos colours. Seems like an auto-include into any type of Rakdos deck, so that's definitely going to be in there. So you're going to have to 4 wildcards on those rare lands. What else does it add in? It also adds in Valkyrie, God of Lies, because Tibalt is sweet. And from what I've heard, when Tibalt comes down, it just wins games. But looking at the first part of the card, Valkyrie, God of Lies is a 2/1. Ends the battlefield. Each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card they revealed until Valkyrie leaves the battlefield. It only costs 2 mana of that as well, so that's pretty sweet to maybe get down a bit early and have a look and maybe, you know, take something from opponents. The X spell is choose a creature card, exile with Valkyrie with covered to cost X, and it becomes a copy of that card. So you never know what you might get. It's going to be a bit random. It might be really good, might be really bad, but it's sweet. But I think the main part of this card is trying to get the Tibalt. 7 mana, 5. Enter battlefield, you get an emblem. You may play cards, exile with Tibalt. You may spend mana as any mana it costs to cast those spells. Seems amazing. +2 5 loyalty comes into exile the top card of each player's library. You've got an exile artifact and creature effect, so exile is pretty important. And then you've got a -8 of exile all graveyards and add 3 mana. So this seems like a really nice addition to the Rakdos deck. The other one coming in is Egon, God of Death. Death Touch, 6/6 for 3. Seems mental. But stipulation time. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile 2 cards from your graveyard. If you can't, you have to sack it and draw a card. So, yeah, not too bad. Maybe get some recursion in there. At the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card is Throne of Death in case you want to play as a 1 mana artifact. And then pay 3, exile a creature card from your graveyard, draw a card. Super strong, Egon. I think, yeah, I've got none there. Got none. I'm probably going to have to try and craft some of these, because I do like playing Rakdos Croaker decks. But all in all, I think it's taken some powerful cards from Kaldheim, added them in there with already good cards like Croaker. It has Kraken Removal, Blood Chiefs, Heartless Axe, and Liliana, the Forgotten Planeswalkers. You don't see much of it, and I think it should see more play. Love me some Liliana. But yeah, this is the updated Meta Rakdos. So for all you Timor Ultimatum Genesis fans, what this does, Kaldheim adds in more powerful creatures, and you're seeing a bit of a trend here, aren't you? Look, Gold Span Dragon gets added again. This seems like it's going to be a perfect card to craft because it's going to be seen potentially in a lot of different decks. So we spoke about the Dragon, 4/4 Flying Haste, great spell. And what it does, it also adds in another powerful creature into this deck. This spell can't be countered. It is Coma, Cosmos Serpent, 6/6 for 7. Seems expensive, but you get a lot for your money there. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 3/3 serpent named Coma's Quill. Sacrifice another serpent, and then you get to choose one of these. Tap target permanent. Activated abilities can't be activated this turn, and it's permanent as well, which means it's strong, which means you tap Planeswalkers. Coma, Cosmos can gain indestructible until end of turn as well. Really nice. Can't be countered. Casting it, even if you have to cast it, you know it's going to be safe getting on the field at least. Really cool addition. It does add creatures to this deck. It adds the Dragon. It adds Cosma and Cosma. I'm making up names there. I'm thinking Coma. I made a mixture there of Coma and Cosmos. So Comomos. That's what it is. And it also has in another hard name for me, obviously, to say, which is Cosima, God of the Voyage. Blue God. Beginning of your upkeep, you may exile Cosma. If you do, whenever a land enters the battlefield, this is a really cool effect, I think, because it gets exiled. You put a Voyage counter in it. You can then choose to return. If you don't return, it gets 6/1 counters. But when you do eventually get it back on the field, you draw cards for the counters, which is really sweet. You can either then, if you want to not do that, you can turn it into a vehicle, and then whenever the vehicle deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards on top of the library, and then you may play land cards. So yeah, help you ramp up a little bit. But the crew is only 1 on that, and it's a 2 mana, so potentially you could get down and start attacking straight away. Other than that, they don't really change a hell of a lot. They do add in a couple of World Tree, because why wouldn't you? You're playing Timor, as long as you control 6 or more lands, which is pretty good because you run Cultivates, you're ramping out a bit, Beanstalk Giants as well. You sacrifice it, search your library for any number of God cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It's good for I think it's mainly used, obviously, for the first ability, because the 6 lands any one colour when you're playing, triple colours, and you're definitely playing Genesis Ultimatum. This will make, probably a big effect for you. It would really, really help. You don't have to worry about the double green, triple blue, double red. It makes it a little bit easier. The God card, no. As you can see from this list, it runs Cosima, and that's it. So definitely in there for the first ability, which for me is the strongest ability on the World Tree. But Timor Ultimatum, still going to be a very, good deck. And it's got the Shark Typhoonies in there, Kiora. It's got just all that big, good stuff, but very heavily rare and mythic. This deck is very heavy on those wild cards. So hopefully, if you've already get it and you've cracked open a couple of packs, you might be able to have these, because there's only like 2 ofs, and a 1 of, and a couple of. So it's not too taxing. But I'll be interested. I might give this Timor Ultimatum deck a bit of a go, I think. Now we come to Blue-White Yorion. Oh, Yorion gets a great upgrade in Wraths for me. Doomscar. Playing it for 2. the foretell and then playing it for 3 is just so good. Having that turn 3 Wrath is super, super strong. I personally go 3-3, but the meta list at the moment goes 2-3. But I do like having, if not equal amount of Doom Scars to Shatter the Skies, because this, potentially gets people to draw a card as well. So I do like Doomscar a little bit better, but this is how it's playing. It doesn't really get much more of an upgrade other than the lands come in, Hengegate Pathway and the Mistgate Pathway. Simple addition, of course. If you've got these new lands, you're going to be adding them into these deck. And they're adding the Foretell Saw It Coming. Generally, if you're playing blue-white, they will see it coming. But you get to foretell this and then foretell the counterspell. Just put it to the side if you want to and use it at a later date. But it does mean you can just pay it on turn 2 and get it foretold. So, foretelled. I don't know. But yeah, so basically the same kind of deck that this always is. Hard to play against Yorion, especially blue-white. Has big finishers in Dream Trawler. Has great cards like Skyclave. Just adding in a different type of counter spell, and then basically getting an earlier Wrath, which is probably what this deck needs a lot of the time as well. And it just upgrades its lands as well. It doesn't go snow or anything like that, so it doesn't add in the other land that you could add in, because Crawling Barrens is obviously a hell of a beater. But all in all, blue-white Yorion gets a very, very, very nice upgrade card that can really help out the deck. The last deck we're looking at is Adventures, Naya Adventures. Gets some nice upgrades here and gets some nice cards added to the deck. We get, obviously he's got the lands there. They're not from that set. I was thinking one of them was, but how hard are these pathways to remember which ones are which and what their names are? For me, I find it flipping impossible. So let's have a look at what does get added, because this one does get quite a few. That gets the Sentinel, Elf Rogue, Reach, tap and untap creature you control, add 1 mana of any colour. Now, we spoke about it's triple colours, so stuff like that is always going to help. Adds in Clarion Spirit. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token. So you're getting in there, playing your second spells, because you do obviously want to play Adventure, so you can potentially play multiple spells, and then you can get something for doing it as well, which seems pretty decent. Masked Vandal, one of the best commons for me. I like this card. 1/3 Changeling. Enter battle, exile the creature card from your graveyard. Then you get to exile a target artifact or enchantment. I think this is pretty, for a common, very, very strong card. A nice addition. Also adds in Ray Dane. So you're going to be using a lot of your wild cards here, but some of them are commons and uncommons. Snow obviously is a big thing. Snow lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. So adding this in there to cause a little bit of disruption seems decent to me. Non-creature spells your opponent casts with cover 2 mana cost 4 or greater. Costs 2 more to cast as well. So it really is Ray Dan, and I think we'll potentially see a little bit of play. It depends how much snow's there. But with people changing like the mono red, just putting snowlands in there, this, they want to be speedy. This kind of card could do well against those sort of decks. Also turns into Protector's Shield. Source and opponent controls deal damage to you. Prevent 1 of that damage. Whenever another permanent you control becomes a target, a spell or ability, opponent controls counter that spell or ability unless they pay 1. So Ray Dane is a bit, it's a real disruptive card, and I think will do well in this deck. Still runs obviously the Felidar Retreats. Ox you see in quite a lot of these decks as well, but another 2 additions here. Toski, Bearer of Secrets. Indestructible. Can't be countered. Attacks each combat if able. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you get to draw a card. Very, very nice. So I like this. Drawing cards. Another way for potentially this deck to draw cards. They had Edgewell Keeper. And it's a green card that draws cards again. What are they doing? I know. So the last edition is Showdown of the Schools. Very nice card this. One of the new Saga cards. Exile the top 4 cards of your library until end of turn. You may play those cards, which is pretty sweet because we have a lot of low mana cost cards in this deck. Giant Killer, Edgewell Innkeeper, Sentinel, and a fair amount of, 2-drops as well. So there's potential that we can, sort of play them as well. Maybe even multiple spells later on. And the lore counter 2 and 3 is whenever you cast a spell this turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. So it's going to be nice getting buffs in for your creatures as well, which I think is, it's a nice little effect. Goes well in the 4-drop. We've got Felidar Retreat that obviously is counter-based as well, making creatures, which is nice. So basically, you're just finding ways to build up your army and just make them really big. And you've got good creatures in here as well, you know. You've got Shepherd of the Flock as well. Return target permanent you control to its owner's hand if you want to do that and its target. Instant speed, so you can potentially save something. Yeah, Team Royal Ventures, I think, is a nice deck and definitely gets some nice additions as well from Kaldheim. So these were 5 meta decks that got Kaldheim updates. Hope you found this really helpful. Please give the video a big thumbs up if you do. It really does help, of course. Subscribe as well. Welcome to all our new subscribers from obviously since Kaldheim came out. We got a lot of new people, so welcome to you. And thanks for clicking that button. Big shout out to all my Patreons. Thank you very much for all your extra support. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. And there will be another video, maybe even tomorrow. So chucking out the videos thick and fast. Definitely be one over the weekends as well. So anyway, you lot take care, and I'll see you on the next video.